You know, a good reminder from Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 is God always pierces the darkness, always. And the darkness doesn't last.
And the high priest, the great high priest who is Jesus Christ, he puts his hands on your life and you take your hands off and you say, my life is surrendered for your purposes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Downline podcast. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Not that the others aren't.
You
This
got to
one's
start
going to
with
be a lot of
fun.
fun. I'm Jamie Trussell, privileged to serve with Downline and as lead pastor and Redeemer Dripping Springs.
Yeah,
We hope
baby.
this podcast helps you faithfully walk with Jesus while pouring your lives into others. Now, look, I say a lot. You got to go through this training because if you do, you get to meet people like Tim Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Tim,
How about that?
Tim, a lot of people will be familiar with you. Some won't be, but introduce yourself.
Hey, man, Tim Johnson. Man, just proud to have, met and known and served alongside my main man, Jay. But, a local pastor of, I guess we don't even call it a church plant no more, but a 7-year-old church plant, kind of
You're
established church
established.
now.
Hey,
That's
you're
right. We in there
established.
now. We in there now. So the baby status is off. But Memphis, Tennessee, been pastoring there now for 7 years. And the Lord's been really kind, a husband, father of 3, and just love Jesus, man. That's it. That's all I got.
Hey, listen, I'm not allowed to have favorites, but you're one of my favorites.
Hey, listen, I will tell you right now, you are my favorite, brother.
There you go.
Love you.
I'll pay you later.
That's right.
My 5-year-old still was shirtless doing things outside this door that's illegal in 13 states.
I
It's the
did
most
see a little.
distracting.
I did see a little
Oh,
shoeing.
man, if you're on the YouTube video version, you saw me do a little hand motion right there. It's hard to focus on that one. I haven't seen Beyonce do that stuff.
That's right. That's right,
Uh,
baby.
Hey, we're going to talk about Life of Samuel, but
Yeah, man.
by
Yeah,
the way, I didn't know you hired Downline alum Lee Adams at your
man.
church.
Listen, let me tell you something. Downline is the assembly line. It is the pipeline of just faithful ministry people pumping them out, man. So y'all keep training them. I'm gonna keep hiring them.
Right.
I love me some Lee Adams.
Go through Downline, get a job. That's our new
Th-
slogan.
Okay, bing. I mean, what else is there? What
Hey,
else is there?
hey, dude, in your bio, how have we never connected over this? Mobile, Alabama.
Hey, 251, baby. 251. You know what it
Where?
is.
What? Tell me where you played college. Missouri State? Did I make that
Yeah.
up?
Hey, listen. I'm a proud alum of the Bucknell University. Come
Oh,
on,
you're
man.
Bucknell.
I'm a Bison, man. I went from Alabama to Pennsylvania.
God, you froze.
I did.
You froze. Dude, I cannot
Uh-oh.
believe you're a LaFleur Rattler.
That's right,
God.
baby. Proud.
Oh,
Orange and green.
orange and green, loud uniforms. So I played at Auburn High.
Did you really? You know what? Memphis has strong ties to the plains. Is that right?
It does. It
Yeah.
does. It
Didn't
does.
learn. I knew that.
But dude, it was like LaFleur, Daphne.
Yep.
LaFleur and Daphne were the big ones
Yep.
that we would always run into in the
Yeah.
playoffs back in my day.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it wasn't my day because we didn't make a whole lot of playoff runs. So yeah, I would love to take credit. I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon, but young Tim was not in a lot of playoff games. That's for sure.
We just drove through Mobile not too long ago. We made the trek from here all the way down to Destin. So
Oh man,
we went through the old stomping grounds.
that's right. That's right. Listen, man, it is sad because Mobile, people's like, yeah, man, we visited Mobile, and then they start talking about the beach. And yeah, we
Mm.
visited Mobile. We were driving through, but you actually, poor old Mobile. We don't.
You don't get the
It ain't,
love you need. It really
no,
is
we
a
don't
cool
get the
city.
love.
It
It
is a
is.
cool city.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Shout
But
out
see,
251. I love you.
shout out. But all the athletes are going up to Saraland now.
Listen, man, you know what it is? You know some real lower Alabama talk. I like how you talking, but yeah, we got a lot of friends who they're starting to send their kids to Saraland. It's true.
I know the LA talk because we used to beat them.
Hey, see what I'm saying? I can't even combat that. I will say basketball though, we used to mop up on Northern Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Middle Alabama. We used to come on down here and get this tail whooping.
Well, what I used to get frustrated with is how many of you guys would go to LSU instead of Auburn.
That is true. It's that Gulf Coast
I know.
pipeline, man. I-10 is real.
No, it is for real. All right. Every year you teach in the Downline Institute, have for years. I love those times. You do different things, but we're going to talk about life of Samuel, which I feel
Yeah,
like is a
man.
sweet spot for you.
Hey, man, that's very kind of you, brother. That's very kind. Yeah, I love it. Whoever's listening, man, I couldn't recommend Downline to you any higher, but I think Life of Samuel is really unique, and I'm always blessed to teach it.
Hmm.
Learn something new every time.
What are, give us, you've been studying that passage for years, or that part of the scripture for years. Give us top 3 or 4 every time I'm in that section. What these things really jump out.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you got a couple primary birth narratives, miraculous births. And so Samuel's is one of those, you know what I'm saying? Like just really miraculous kind of things surrounding the birth narrative that I think is really important to his life. And you see some cadence. So you don't just start right in his adolescence. Don't start right in First Samuel 3 at his call, which is important. That call also is setting you up. Him in that moment with Eli, who's calling me, and Eli kind of beginning to foreshadow that this man is both learning to hear God's voice and will continue to submit to God's voice in his leadership. So I think the birth, the call, but it seems like I'm cheating big omnibus, but it's really what fascinates me is how Samuel is really holding Israel down during a big transition. You know what I mean? They're getting ready to move from judges into the first king. And just how faithful he was in the middle of a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, those would be my 3 things.
But he was faithful for sure. But here's what's interesting about Samuel is he takes Israel's choice of a king as personal rejection to him. I mean, it's not like this guy's floating on, ministry clouds and God's blessing. It's what's interesting. And I'll be curious your perspective on this, especially as we talk calling or ministry, whatever. But if God calls you, it did not go well at times for a while. And in our modern day calling, it's like, maybe he didn't call me because things didn't work out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so are you, if I heard you correctly, like sometimes the circumstances of our call are meaning that something is broken, something is failing, and
And sometimes it means you're being faithful.
yeah,
Like when all that stuff breaks down around you,
yeah,
here's what's
yeah,
curious. How
yep,
many I've met with guys, right? And obviously downline is actually majority non-ministry people, but it could be anything circumstantial in your life. You
for sure.
thought you got it right. You thought God was moving you in a direction. Then something goes wrong and it's like, I must have missed it. And I'm going,
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
on. No, no, no. Expect that.
yeah, for sure. No, Jay, I think most of us kind of assume like a Moses to Joshua succession, like
Mm,
somebody's just passing the baton. But what you're saying is really important. You know, God can do it like that. Sometimes you come off the heels of faithful people and you are just there to carry it on. And sometimes God says, what I need now is you. I
mm,
need one after my own heart
mm.
who I can prove my faithfulness and the strength of my grace as they remain faithful in some dark spaces. And that
And
is right.
and the spaces are dark in some of those moments.
Oh, no. I cannot stress to you enough, young pastor, young ministry leader, it is true. Um, if you don't want to get dirty and step
Mm,
on some nastiness, get out the sheep pen because
mm,
that's where the nastiness is, friend. And I think this is really cool too. I think this period of United Kingdom, divided kingdom conquest judges, all those things. We're getting a little bit of anthropology. We're getting a little bit of human nature. You're seeing it come through, and it's just messy. Don't get in ministry if you're not ready to understand. You're never prepared to deal with some of the things that are coming your way
That's right.
because humans are complex, friends, even redeemed ones. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? And so you have to be prepared to be surprised and to need exorbitant amounts of God's grace.
I've been reading a lot lately, and I think we're going to go through take the guys throughout here. But one of my favorite writers is a guy named David Gibson.
Okay.
He wrote a book, Living Life Backward. Probably the best thing I've ever read. It's on
Mm,
Ecclesiastes. He wrote another book, The Shepherd of Psalm 23, and he unpacks and exposits that passage in a way I've never seen before and really brings it home. And I don't know why I'm sitting here going, holy, I've been a Christian for 20 years. I've got 3 degrees. I missed all of this. And
yeah. Yeah.
he says, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, for you are with me. And I
That's right.
think for so long I've heard, oh, when he shows up, I'm actually not in the shadow of the valley of death anymore. But the Psalm says, oh, you're still going through. And it's still the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death does not change,
No, that's right.
but our companion does.
That's right.
And I think Samuel has to learn that in real time because his own sons are idiots,
Bro,
right?
bro.
He's got nowhere else to go. He is alone. If he doesn't have the true shepherd to navigate all of this, he is utterly alone.
Yeah. It is wild. In my notes, I keep coming back. I don't even know that I have all the antidotes I want to support it. But I think I always end up when I teach that class is just, y'all, I cannot stress to you how kingdom first Samuel
Mm,
is.
mhm,
I mean, he just over and over, like, I'm gonna be the middleman. Like, I'm not even gonna be the king, the first king. I'm gonna set somebody else up. I'm gonna stay faithful. And I know that Israel's elders were right in rejecting my sons. And even in that, I'm gonna anoint the next man. It's just like this guy in his farewell address. He says,
mm,
far be it from me that I would withhold my prayers for you.
mm.
It's just, I was like, Lord, what does it look like to have that Philippians 2 heart, the mind of Christ, considering others' needs of other? It's like Samuel is knocking it out the park, bro. And I know he's doing that with much pain in his heart.
And that's what I think I can miss, certainly. There's that hermeneutical idea of reading with imagination, meaning I'm imagining myself in the place of the person.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
He, at that point, you're going, I'm the dude that appointed Saul. That was a complete failure. I knew it would be. God told me it would be, but that was a complete failure. My sons, so what was above me failed. My sons, who should have been my greatest legacy, they failed.
Yep. Yep.
He is still like, all right, I'm going to turn it over to you. That farewell address, what else jumps out to you about him? Because you talk about maturity and pragmatic, like deep character formation.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is a great example of that.
Man, I think, sometimes when we get on the other side of the resurrection, sometimes we can over spiritualize
That's good.
being a part of the new creation. But I love how he even begins his farewell address. He's like, have I taken anybody ox? You know what I'm saying? He's like, listen, my conscience is clean. My conscience is clean. You know what I mean? Like, being led by God's spirit should mean nothing less than you're a good human being. You are a good human being. Don't sit here and tell me how spirit filled you are and all your theology and your people on your job can't
Hate you.
stand you.
They hate you.
No, that dog don't hunt. It
Mm-mm,
don't, man. And so
mm-mm.
I think, I want us to get back to being salt of the earth. Like we're preaching through Romans 14 and then in Galatians 5. And these chapters all seem to be honing in on like, listen, if your zeal for righteousness causes you to tear up other image bearers and other
That's
blood
right.
bought believers, no way, friend. You know what I'm saying?
What it's you? So we've been going through Sermon on the Mount. I'm about to jump into James here soon, but
Mm,
so I think Paul in Romans 14, and we're jumping from Samuel now, but in Romans 14 is the best cross reference for interpreting what Jesus says in Matthew 7 about do not judge. Because
100%.
because culture says, oh, you can't judge me. And they're talking about evaluate you. I said, yes, I can. I can evaluate good, bad, right, wrong, true. We all do.
100%.
Jesus, when he says do not judge, that is a condemning,
Yes.
encompassing. So Paul
Yes.
says you can't do that because one day they're going to stand before God. And so, like you're saying right there, we live, I think, as believers, having accepted far too easily how quickly we actually pass condemning judgments on
Yes.
others,
Yes. Yes.
like who
Yes.
they are as people. And Paul said, you can't make that call.
That is not yours. You
That's
don't
not
have
true.
authority to do that. And which I do think you talk about things that are important in discipleship relationships, and I like to pull that out too. It's just like, man, this guy, he loves King Jesus. He loves the triune God, but man, he grieved for Saul. He took no delight in the fact that this guy was, failing. You could see like he hurt for these people, like he wants them to get it. And I think it comes across to me, and I hope we get it as people who disciple people. It's messy. It requires patience, and maybe a lot of times we have to take the extra step of asking God to help us love the people who we're trying to bring along with us, and we just can't miss that. We just can't
Well,
miss that.
I mean, at the core of discipleship, and it's not the only way to define it, but down when we talk about life and truth in the context of relationship,
That's right. That's right.
I can't tell you of an impactful relationship in my life where there was not genuine love. But I'm not talking about mushy gushy, everything felt good. I'm talking about a dude that would grab me by the shirt, chew me out.
Yep.
I'm talking about the type of love where people love you enough to tell you what you need to hear.
That's right. That's
Type
right.
of stuff.
That's right. It's what does Romans 12 say? Love is sincere. You know what I
That's good.
mean? And I think, you know, the the redeemed heart, both this is a rabbit trail, but it's just love is not self-seeking, and sometimes for people pleasers like me, I will withhold truth from you just so I can continue to get positive vibes from you. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
that's not love. That's not love. Is gonna, for your best interest and for the glory of God. I gotta do some hard stuff with you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna feel like love is the act of the will, right? I'm not gonna feel like it, but for the glory of God and for your betterment, I'm gonna push in on some spaces, even if that means our relationship will have to stretch before we actually come back together, you know?
Well, here's what's hard and interesting, and I think maybe overlaps with Samuel. That farewell address, the far be it from me is sticking with me, is
Hmm.
is that I have to, and by the way, do not do this regularly, fail at this, but I have to care more about your intimacy with Jesus than your intimacy with me.
Yeah, that's a good word, Jay.
But sometimes if I really sense the Spirit pushing me to push you, that comes with a little bit of a disruption in our relationship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's
So
that's 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 but
hey,
we have to be willing to go there.
we got to
We
be
gotta be
willing to
willing to
go.
go there. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Galatians 5 a second ago. I want to circle back on that. So we got this CD. We play it for my youngest two kids sometimes. Slugs and Bugs. All right. By the way, shout out. It's really good for scripture memory. Also, there's some real weird songs on there.
I believe it. That's
Just
it
like straight
sounds
up,
like it.
just straight up weird. But there's a really good one. The first one on the red CD, they come in and they're like, I need you to sing this, not me, but they're like Galatians 5:1, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free.
Yeah.
And you know what struck me? I'm listening to that with, this back when we were still living in Memphis. Tim, I think we stopped quoting that verse right there. The next part says, and do not let ourselves be burdened again
Mm,
by the yoke of slavery.
yeah,
That actually means even post conversion,
that's
Jesus
right.
redeeming me, I can make some active choices to reach back in that barn and put that wooden bar across my back and say, no, I'm going to chain myself to the old self anyways.
Yes,
And
yes,
well,
yes.
you talk about a detrimental place for a Christian to try to live.
Oh man, I think there are really pivotal concepts in the Bible that we were, kind of just talking about. It's almost like the gospel. It's like maybe you understand the gospel proper, however the pithy sayings come, however you memorize it. My first really short one was like, hey, Jesus Christ came to place peace between me and God. Right. But there's a temptation of like, hey, I know that. Okay, next.
Yeah,
And really, I think the gospel is just one of those things where you just go deeper, like the implications, how you explain it, how you understand how it's flowing and rocking throughout redemptive history. So it's just, but I think inside of that, the reason why the gospel is so important, I feel like you go back to Galatians where it's like, hey, y'all people who are preaching a different gospel really have no gospel.
that's right.
And so this is so important. This is sometimes maybe you feel like your pastor or your leaders, they hammer on it. Well, because my friend, if you lose a little bit, maybe of the
Mm,
truth of the gospel, it might
mm,
cost you more than you ever imagined.
no,
You know what I mean?
that's a good word. Oh,
And
absolutely.
so, and so part of understanding the gospel is that this idea of a life purchased fully by grace, led by the Holy Spirit, is completely foreign to us. And
Mm,
at the moment's notice, we go right back into self justification, self preservation,
yeah,
legalism, or lawlessness, period.
yeah,
Like,
period.
period. That's what
Yeah.
we do. That's what we know to do. You know what I mean? I laugh. What's so amazing about grace? It's just a great book.
Hmm.
But I think one of the things Yancey says is just like, man, you live in a world where to make money, you actually have to go in and clock. You don't get raises without merit. There's nothing else in our society that if you don't put in work, you get something for free. The
That's right.
only thing you have ever heard where all you bring to get the most amazing benefit is your need is the gospel.
Mm,
And so you have to constantly be a custodian of your soul and your heart to make sure your life and your actions reflect that I am both wholly leaning on God's grace for my justification and standing in this world, and that I am submitting my life to His Spirit's leading in my actions and my doings. And that just takes constant work.
well, it takes constant work. And I remember you saying something, this was either a year or two ago, while you were teaching through Samuel. And I want to know, and probably for our people's sake too, how to translate it into like disciple making is you said, it's always stuck with me. You said, since when, and you were referencing it in a relational context, like how we love other people, but you said, since when were we ever a part of a faith where we got what we deserved? Now you said that. I didn't say that.
Why
So,
you got? I'm a black charismatic preacher. And I did just be in the moment. Yeah, sorry.
but
And
but but
Presbyterian.
but you have all the Presbyterian stuff sprinkled in with it.
Just a little bit. Just a little
Yeah.
bit. Man,
Yeah.
that is
Hey,
crazy.
you notice how I picked that word sprinkled intentionally.
You didn't say you dunk them into that. You said
No,
you
you
sprinkle it
sprinkle
in
the Presbyterian stuff in.
there.
Uh, hey, but
I
talk
love
about
it.
that. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
No, man, it's just understanding the currency of God's kingdom and just the economy of how things work. It's all by grace. There's nothing we deserve, common, common grace or special grace. There's nothing we deserve. We assume so much. Like we had one of our deacons, he was praying, he was like, man, I assume I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I assume I'm gonna walk my daughter down the aisle. I assume that the direct deposit. It's like, hey man, those things are all a good gift from a good father who just what does it mean for God to be all good? Like God's all knowing and he's all, but we don't even have a category for a person who just emits goodness. Just
Yeah.
what is that? You know what I mean? And so to your point, to live in that constant awareness is also to me maybe one of the driving forces of really the rich fullness of living the Christian life. I love the Old Testament terms like worshiper of the true and living God.
Hmm.
If you are always constantly aware that you don't deserve, which means you're also then also aware that God is providing of his own accord and free will, then your posture is always, wow, Lord my God. When I also wanted to consider why me? Why me? And then now you have the motivation to live out a robust, even difficult, challenging faith because you're in constant worship, because you know you're just swimming in all this undeserved goodness.
Hmm. Which you then, I think, want to show that to others,
That's right. 100%.
which is kind
100%.
of look. So even in discipleship, I get like there's some good things about pragmatic training, like do this, because Jesus did that. He did all of
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right.
The thing that I've always sort of had to process is the kind of penal, consequent driven discipleship.
Mm,
Because accountability, I think accountability is obviously necessity, but there's a difference in true accountability and penal.
yeah, that's right.
Does
That's
that make
right.
sense?
No, 100%. 100%. Well, we just don't understand it, Jay. Like we don't have a category for, you know, yeah, even just thinking about there's a lot of conversation about even the penal system, which, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about like our penal systems have done nothing to help people reintegrate into society. You actually go and they become, the rabbit trail, but it's just we have to be careful that the gospel of grace and mercy is always restorative, it's always regenerative, it always
Or
has that. It's always got this aim to get you back in. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we do that? And so, just like you said, this is the grace mixed with truth is always the greatest motivator.
it
But
is.
the exclusion and the naughty stuff in your Christianity is like you gotta be able, once again, how we deal with others reflects how we think God sees us and deals with us.
1,000%. And if we struggle, because I see this in my own life, but my lack of desire to extend forgiveness towards someone is a direct reflect of how I understand God's forgiveness towards me. And by the way, neither you and me are talking about a squishy grace. Grace disciplines us. It trains us for godliness. It
Absolutely.
does
That's right.
all of these
Titus,
things.
baby. That's
It
right.
does all of these things. But I've wondered just in discipleship if it's like, hey, if you don't do this, you're kicked out. I just wrestle with that sometimes.
Yes, yes. You gotta, I just feel like we get Matthew 18, we get 1 Corinthians 5, we get those as, anecdotal descriptions and prescriptions for like when it's time to kick out.
And we're talking
Other
about
than
church discipline. Like I'm not talking about church discipline.
No, you're talking about unrepentant, dug in, I've transgressed, I'm not backing off. Outside of that, now you tell me what else is something that you can't bear with one another over.
Mm, mm.
It really, now that we're older and you have multiple children, it's like we're starting to get to that point, and our children get old enough, we hate to see them squabble because we love them. You know what I'm saying? And then I think it's even painstakingly hard to see your adult children because
Mm.
they're really dug in. And I'm not, it's like, man, yo, whoa, this is not, don't think you are keep going back to Romans 14. It's just like, man, you and your strong opinions, even on discipleship, will you allow those to destroy the work of God in another brother?
Mm.
Come on, man. That just ain't how it works.
Well, no, that's so good. And by the way, I used to think you didn't age, but you got gray in your beard.
It's that lust, baby. I'm trying to get that wisdom. I'm trying to get that wisdom.
That's how it happens. I can't grow a man beard, so I'm just gonna be dumb and foolish.
Listen. We just sat here for 30 minutes and heard you, so we know that ain't true.
Whatever. Hey,
Hey, one.
listen, last thing on Samuel, because this actually, well, you said this one time, and I told Lauren we need to pull that and put it on our promo video. So
Mm,
you kind of go off
yes,
on prayer. You kind of go off on prayer during that Samuel section.
yes,
Now, there's
you get it.
something in there that hits you really personally.
Yeah, no. I do think, I think the tempo is set. I don't think, granted, we all have different faith backgrounds or whatever, but I don't think we know quite what to do with prayer. You know what I mean? Like, when am I praying? Pray at all times, pray out loud, pray sitting down, big words, not big words, whatever. But when you see Hannah wailing,
Mm,
praying so hard that she is mistaken for being drunk.
mm,
Then you get Samuel, who is listed with Moses, given scripture gives him credit for being one of the great intercessors. And I
mm,
just think of I think society, we have that bias. We think that we're getting smarter and more able to solve things, right? That's just anthropology. That's just how the human mind works. And it's like, if scripture don't teach you anything, especially reading through the divided kingdom, united kingdom, or whatever, God's leaders, if you think you're going to get on a whiteboard and be
mm.
able to solve things, if you think you're going to listen to 50 podcasts and you're going to be able to solve the challenges you have or read enough books, I'm not despising wisdom, but
Wow.
we are strongest on our knees before our all-wise God who loves us and knows the future. Now you tell me what other posture is stronger than that.
Yeah, what is it? Is it Andrew Murray? I forget who said, "What a man is on his knees, that he is, and nothing more."
Yes, God.
That may be Murray McShane. I can't remember. It's one of those
Mm-hmm.
guys.
It's true, Jay. It's true.
Yeah, but I'm gonna
But
tell you this: when Tim Keller said, the late Tim Keller, he gave a talk at Beeson Divinity School, and he said, if given the choice, most pastors will prepare instead of pray. I duck my head down because I'm going, crap.
it's
That
true, man.
is me. That's me.
It's true. It's true. But I think that's why, and when you hear me get all rambled up, I'm preaching to myself. It's just, what needless pains we bear, Uh, and I think even that's not even when we're hurting. But all this business, especially when you read um, all this stuff about, and the leaders, they consulted the ephod, they got the Urim and Thummim, like all these ideas of like, hey, we got something we can't solve. We have to go to Yahweh. We have to turn to Him. You know what I mean? And so, what in your life demonstrates that you are most confident if God is on the case?
Mm. And ask the question a different way. Does anything in my life
Mm,
show that I feel
mm,
like I actually need God to come through?
yeah. Ooh, come on now. I'm just saying. I'm about to get off.
The
But
people
if
just listening, they can't see all your hand motions.
I know, but listen, all I'm going crazy over here. I told one of our members this. I said, man, you know what? I think when it's all said and done, in my 10 years up here or wherever, I hope that people will say, oh, I love the God of the Bible more and I trust him more. I
Hmm.
trust him more because I've sat under his teaching. I've watched his life. Because in the end of the day, I'm not important. You'll forget me, but man, trusting God, it's what Adam and Eve couldn't do,
Mm.
but it's what Jesus did do, which enabled us to be a part of his family and hopefully we'll be together forever.
Man, that's so fitting. It's so funny. Like just today when we're recording this, I met with a member out here, who had questions, legitimate questions, normal
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, those are great and those are really hard. I said, here's the question the Bible asks. The Bible doesn't ask God, why do you do all these things? We ask that, normally so. But here's what it does ask. Can you trust the God that allows all of these things? Because we can't figure it all out.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Hey,
Mm-mm.
I love you. I miss you. Thanks for jumping on. So good to see you.
Jay, I love you, boy.
Hey, shout out to East Central Alabama, baby.
No, shout out Rattlers, baby. Psst.
See ya.
Goodbye, boy. Love you.
I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Downline podcast. Please subscribe and go down and rate us and give us 5 stars. Help us get this content out to as many people as possible, as we hope to continue to equip men and women to join the Great Commission as we make disciples for a lifestyle as a lifetime.